and that's what we had in the old in our old DAC, and it was a positive from the year. Every year you went into it, it was a challenging schedule for you. And so I see the same thing with our new league, and as teams grow, as we have adding Presentation College, who's now probably, I think they're on their 5th year of having football, and they're going to get better because of location and what they're doing and the facilities and those types of things. So, I think all that, when we say parity, it really means to me when it's true parity. You're going to have year in and year out. There's going to be some tough games and some tough losses for teams. And at the national level, what we're going to see is you lose 1 or 2 games, you got a chance to get be ranked in the top 20. If you lose more than that, it's not going to happen.
Very nice. And, of course, obviously travel. That's going to change here. We're going to one end of the state in Dickinson this year, and then not this season, but eventually Waldorf over in Forest City, Iowa. It's going to be a lot more miles on the bus. As a small college team, not that you didn't travel last year. You guys went out to California, but how's that work from the standpoint of a coach? Do you like games like that? Do you like being able to get these guys away from the campus, or would you rather be closer to home?
Yeah, travel since I've been here, I've never really had an issue with distance. We were always playing since I've been here. We probably made a trip out to Rapid City, every year, which is a 7-8 hour trip. Early on, we scheduled Peru State in Nebraska, which is like a 9-hour trip. Those, to me, sometimes those are good trips for you. That they're an overnight trip. It's something unique for our kids to get out. It's not always fun. I'm not telling you it's easy to go play on the road, go stay overnight and do all those things. I think the experience for kids are sometimes a positive and a good thing. It's some building camaraderie on the team. You have to spend that time. You're forced to spend that time with those guys. Sometimes that's a good thing. But if we had everybody here had their choice, we wouldn't want to travel more than a couple hours. It's awesome. Jamestown, Mayville, you're back home at night. It's easy to prep. You have more time doing those things. When you got to get on a bus after a game and 8-hour travel back, you get back late. It's just added dimension to say that's something that we'd want or get excited about. Of course not, but there can be some positives within it. So I'd rather have that game and have a conference and a solid schedule than be a independent searching for games all over the nation again, and that's the positive with the conference. So.
And then we'll talk real quick about the 2 new teams that have been added. Dickinson, fairly well known. It hasn't been too long since they've been away. They were in the Frontier Conference last year. But then Waldorf, it seemed like this was a team there were a lot of questions on at the beginning of the season. Now they've got a game in, and they've kind of shown what they're capable of doing. Pretty strong running game, and the young running back they have, Bridge, I believe is his name, going for 217 yards. He gets named Player of the Week. Could they be a dangerous team just because of how little's known about them?
I think they can be. I think that the first thing when we've got a chance to watch a little bit of that game, and that they have talented kids. Mm-hmm. They do, and I think that's something over the years that when you look back at Waldorf, they've done. They've gotten a lot of transfer kids in and kind of done it that. So you can be really talented and have good talent. It's just, can you be consistent? Can they maintain that? Those types of things. And I think that's been their inconsistency in the past that they've struggled with a little bit with some of those kids. No, there's no question. When you look at the score against Mayville State, 48-0, that you're going to say there's some talent on that team. That you're going to have to be careful.
Obviously, something went right there.
Exactly. They came on the road and what. As we saw, last year, there's a solid Mayville team but they've had some that coaching change late in the season didn't help that Mayville team to get ready and prepare. I think that challenged them a little bit. I think there's probably a mixture of. I think Waldorf's better than people thought. Yeah, I think Mayville, it's going to. With a new coaching change late in the season, late this year before the school started, a couple weeks, there's some of that's probably hard to read into that. I think Mayville's going to be better, and I think maybe Waldorf isn't 48 points better than them.
Yeah,
so
it certainly was a score that surprised me.
Right.
After seeing Mayville State last year, it seemed like they returned a lot of that backfield on offense, and they were pretty solid last year, especially in that option offense they were running. But Waldorf finishes in the preseason polls number 7 team. You guys finished first overall in the votings. Does that mean anything? Is it a good, bad thing? Do you look
means,
at it?
the team that the year before did okay. I mean, that's really what it means. Preseason polls are for the media, and it's something to talk about for, to put out in media stuff and those things. But we have to earn this whole season is it's a new season. It's not about anything we did in the past, and that's a little bit of what when you get ranked early on, it's about what you did last year, and so our last year's team is getting rewarded a little bit this year by being ranked first in the conference. We have a lot to prove. We're a young team, and we've lost a lot of talented kids. So right now it's a blank slate, and it starts Thursday to prove what this season's going to look like and how we're going to be.
This is Coach McCulloch Show tonight, live from Trestle's Bar and Grill in Valley City. Feel free to stop by. It's Wings Night. They've got delicious food, as always. I always end up taking way too much home with me and enjoying it a little too much. But make sure you stop by. If not, make sure you catch us right here on 1490 KOVC. We'll take our first break, about 30 seconds. When we come back, we'll take a look at last season and how Valley City State University did and some of the things that they're approaching with this year as they get ready for Thursday night's game under the lights against the University of Jamestown. It's the Coach McCulloch Show on 1490 KOVC.
Trestle's in the Valley City Town and Country Club is the place to be on Mondays. Every Monday night is Wings and Tap Beer Night. Enjoy tasty wings in 7 flavors, along with $2.50 domestic draws and $3.50 premium draws. And every Monday is Member Appreciation Night. Country Club members can take 10% off. Tuesday is Homemade Pizza Night. Friday is All-You-Can-Eat Buffet from 11:30 to 1:30 and Prime Rib Night. Trestle's in the Valley City Town and Country Club, with daily specials served every day and plenty of good golf left.
Coach McCulloch Show on 1490 KOVC. We're broadcasting live from Trestle's Bar and Grill tonight. Matt Douglas with me, of course, Coach Dennis McCulloch, the Valley City State Vikings, and, of course, the co-offensive coordinators this year, Jake Bresky and John O'Day. We'll talk to them here in just a moment. We just got done talking a little bit about the new outlook of the North Star Athletic Association, adding 2 more teams this season. Now let's take a look at what happened last season with Valley City State University. Coach, you guys started out strong on the season. First 5 games you go 4-1, and then things got a little tough for you. You finished the year off 5-5. Looking back on what that season was, what might have led to, I don't want to call it a downfall, but those struggles at the end of the year?
Yeah, I think probably most people know, and during the season we had a lot of challenges, and we lost a very good wide receiver, midstream, and that affected the offense a little bit. You had to make some changes to some of that personnel and added personnel, and the other part of that, about midway through the season, our weather changed on Saturday afternoons, and we probably, starting with that homecoming game presentation, wind and cold and just weekends were always a little challenging. I don't think Curtis responded well early on, especially to that. And it's not all of that was on Curtis Walls, our quarterback, but part of it was young guy, freshman, first experience of really being up here, first experience of being a college quarterback and taking this all on. Performed at a high level early on, calm, did a lot of great things for us. But probably midstream, there were some struggles with the weather. Like he said, the first game against Presentation, he'd never experienced that. Never experienced, 30-mile-an-hour winds and that kind of cold, and had never played in that kind of weather. Which all of us, it's for us up here, it's hard to understand because it was probably a okay day in North Dakota for most of us.
A little different down in Arizona.
But it's a little different from Arizona when you're saying, hey, it's 50 degrees and 30-mile-an-hour winds and chilly and a little rainy and so there was an effect there that it affected our offense, but it's not the only thing. It did change this. I think our flow of things that we were doing offensively, the amount of, how we were moving the football and the things that we were doing. And so, I think that's a part of it. We lost really to be, legitimately lost. And when we lost to Mayville, at Mayville in a tough field game, muddy field. We can go back and hash that out, and we can blame it on coaching, whatever we want to. But that had a major effect on our football team after we go there and lose, and confidence and everything else. And then we go on and play Gustavus at home, and we just didn't regain that swagger and confidence back. We really just didn't, and for whatever reason, and we played Jamestown at home in a great game, and both teams were very competitive. We played good, and they played good. So, to say that it was something that we didn't play at the level we expected to play, there are probably some things we could look back and we could have did better offensively, defensively. But Jamestown played a great game. They came in with a great game plan, and they legitimately beat us at the end. They'd take the ball down and 70 yards and do that. And so I don't take anything away from that moment, but those are the key games that I circle are those, that Mayville loss and our loss to Jamestown, and in the sense that I felt like at the beginning of the year those that would have, if we were playing at the same level the same way, those things don't happen to us. But it just we lost it there, and we never really truly regained it back where we were playing at that level of play that I would expected us to play at.
Certainly, it seems like some of those things you mentioned with Curtis Walls getting a little bit older, getting more accustomed to the offense, getting used to the weather as well, and with everybody else kind of coming together this year, certainly seems like something that's preventable in your eyes. Would it be?
Yeah, we went in the offseason really challenging Curtis, to get better and improve and in a lot of ways, and I think he's taken that on. I've been extremely impressed with him. Because he's had competition, and for a lot of guys they back, when competition is there, they sometimes fold. They don't take it on. They think that they failed or somebody, there's something wrong with them. But Curtis has done a great job getting himself in great shape, preparing himself, working hard. I've been very impressed with him, and so I think I think we're all gonna see a positive change in him, and hopefully that year of maturity and those things are going to help him, and we'll find out. Again, it's easy to talk and off the field and practice. It's hard to simulate that first game day again and what that's going to feel like and how he's going to take control. But I feel like he's done a good job to get himself back, to improve and really be different than he was last fall.
And we'll throw it here to Coach Bresky here. Having worked with the quarterbacks last year, obviously you're well aware of what Curtis has done here to mature at that quarterback position. From your eyes, working with him last year to what you're working with this year, and your young quarterback becoming more of a veteran, would that be safe to say this year?
Yes, for sure that'd be safe to say. Just any time you get to have a chance to learn the offense and sit down and have a full off season, we sat down and watched every single play from last year. Every single throw, every single decision. So he's just more equipped with the ins and outs of the whole entire offense, as well as just maturing into a man and being able to lead the offense a little bit.
You always hear coaches say it seems at the end of the first season, I mean, for a guy like Curtis Walls, okay, you're no longer a freshman anymore when you get towards the end of the year, but I would have to imagine that what he worked with last year now coming to this season makes him all the better at that position. Would that be an accurate statement, or does he still have some things he really needs to work on?
Everyone always has things to work on, whether it's just a lot of little things that we can correct, that we, work on day in, day out kind of stuff. But he's definitely grown leaps and bounds since last year, but there's still a little fine-tuning, managing situations, managing different things about our offense that still we need game experience, a little more of that to totally refine what we want from him.
Speaking with the co-offensive coordinators now here on the Coach McCulloch Show, we'll go ahead and throw it over to Coach O'Day, who's working with the offense as well this year, if the microphone will reach that far. But, Coach, let me go ahead and throw this your way. And Marty Costello, the offensive coordinator last year, you guys get the opportunity to work under him. He leaves in the offseason for another job. The transition for you, now being the offensive coordinator here with Coach Bresky, has it been a smooth one?
Yeah, for the most part it has been. I will say us being able to work together last year, getting to know each other, how our coaching styles and how we like to do things has definitely made the transition a lot easier. I will say, throughout this entire offseason, though, we've both learned a lot about each other, about the offense, how we want to do things, and kind of our own philosophies on running an offense. So it's been a lot of fun. These last few months has been awesome, just getting a chance to work together and figure out what each other likes.
Hey, you guys lose, obviously, a very strong running back in Derek Elliott. No one's going to forget his name. It's in the record books where all the things he's done. But two very capable guys behind him, and Trevor Gortz, a senior, and also Ian Keller, a senior, who I would imagine will be taking some snaps this year. But talk a little bit about them and what they bring to the game. Seeing them last year, it seemed like Gortz is the guy who sort of goes through you. Keller's the guy who can kind of go around you. Is that safe to say or no?
You know, I will say the thing about Ian and Trevor is they're both very different backs between each other and from Derek Elliott. I mean, we'd be fools to think we have another Derek Elliott out of those two. They're different style backs, and I think they both do a great job with our offense. They're both very intelligent, and they understand what we're trying to do and how our offensive line is blocking. So, it's for me, it's going to be great to see how those two adapt to our offense and how they make our offensive line right and how they run our offense.
Very nice. Thank you, Coach O'Day. And we'll bring it back here to Coach McCulloch and turn our attention here to the defensive side of the ball. And, Coach, you're a defensive-minded coach. You work with the defensive backs quite a bit. Seems like you've lost quite a bit defensively this year in the front of the line and in the middle of the line. And both Jake Thurston and Fontaine Fuga taking off, graduating. Then, of course, Matt Kraft and Dwayne Fearon on the front of the line. But the defensive backs, for the most part, Chris Cross no longer with the team. He graduated. But for the most part, it seems like Michael Bruce, we've said his name a lot last year. Stevenson St. Louis said his name quite a bit. And Pathan Asuncion. The DBs seem to be the glue of this defense right now.
Yeah. First of all, I just really appreciate bringing up all those old names again and, reminding us about what we don't have.
Sorry about that,
That's
Coach.
all right. No, you're exactly right. Those, the guys that you mentioned were very productive for us, and year in and year out, as a college coach, we're going to lose some people, and in good ways, in the sense of guys who are here for 4 or 5 years and have spent their time and graduating and going on, and those are good things. It's tough production to lose. I know that. Defensively. We look at those guys, and we have to find the same kind of productive guys who are going to replace those guys for tackles and making plays. Same as the offense has to find ways, and maybe it's not just the yards that Derek Elliott got on the ground, but what are other ways we can replace those yards that he was getting, and that's the challenge. Defensive back-wise, I feel pretty lucky. I have a great crew returning, in the defensive backfield. I don't think we have one guy back there that are just like, where I'm gonna say this is the best guy. This is the shutdown guy. They're all solid individuals. They work their butts off to become talented players and to do the things that we need to do on Thursday night and Saturday afternoons. I have a great crew. I feel like we have depth there that we haven't had for a while. When you mentioned Stevenson St. Louis, we have Steve Wright, Michael Bruce and Justin Irby, and those guys have done a great job. Jawan Pugh, Andre Pepper's going to get some time. I mean, those guys are doing a great job. And we actually, knock on wood, have some depth where I went, whether it's Steve Wright starting and St. Louis coming in, those guys both are solid guys and both can play and contribute.
Oh, very much so. I'm looking forward to seeing what those guys can do, and especially with the DB positions like that. You mentioned the depth. With some of those guys that you lose on the defensive side of the ball, as we kind of mentioned here, I mean, does it help sort of bring it all together when you have those veterans back there for some of the younger guys who might be playing up front?
It really does. I mean, I feel a little bit spoiled because I walk into a meeting room and I see my guys, those older guys, coaching the younger guys. And that's what's great on the football field, too, is that, I have a great crew of guys that if I'm not saying it correctly, or we are, not always maybe explaining it to the level that those guys understand it and know it, they're the first guys to help the younger guys and explain to what's going on. And that's where the experience and maturity of those guys help a lot. They do bring those younger guys along a lot more. I feel like I get 8 other coaches out there with the defensive backs because they coach each other and they help and support each other. So it is a good crew, and hopefully we'll perform at a high level on Thursday night. We can, again, sometimes you have a lot of assumptions on how we're going to play, but when come Thursday night, we'll find out.
Back on the offensive side of the ball, Coach, quarterback situation much different than what it was last year. You had 3 freshmen fighting for that position. This year you got Curtis Walls, who's now a sophomore. Also, you bring in Josh Hansen. Am I saying that correct?
Yep, Hansana.
Hansana, who comes in from North Dakota State College of Science, obviously with some experience with the Wildcats. How much has that been a bit of a relief this year, I guess, would be the question for it.
First of all, it is a positive force because, we can't. And I've tried to explain this last year how we went through the season. You can't go through the season with really one backup, a solid backup that we have, and you need to have depth. What's always tough at the quarterback, you can only play one, but you can't just have one great guy and then nobody else behind him. If something happens, it's not going to work. It doesn't help our football team. And also, you need guys to push each other. So I think part of that, having Josh here has helped that. There's no question there's competition. Josh is, I think part of Josh was slowed by an injury that he had sustained at North Dakota School of Science, which he came in with. I think that slowed him a little bit. His progress has slowed a little bit. But I think he's improving, and on a daily basis, I think you start to see, his things that he can do and the things that he can bring to the team also as a positive. And there's still competition there. There really is. I mean, Josh can start for a lot of football teams. He's a solid quarterback and brings a lot to our team. So, again, as the season progresses and the things go on, there's some – you never want to rotate quarterbacks and do those things. It's not easy. But I think those guys right now, I mean, Josh has done a good job of competing and earning any opportunity that he gets to step on a football field. He's done a really good job for us. I know Coach Bresky, it's not easy, but he's excited also to have some solid depth and good kids there to work with.
It can certainly only help, I would imagine.
Exactly.
Coach Bresky, I'll kind of throw this your way on the offensive side of the ball. And I don't mean guys who are going to come in and make an immediate impact, but guys who may have been a little bit lost the first time you handed them the playbook this year, who now are starting to kind of pick that up. Have there been any of those young guys who are starting to make those steps for you that you're starting to see, okay, their mind's starting to come into the game? I can see this guy being someone who's going to be utilized in the future?
Yes, absolutely. Having 2 weeks of fall camp, 2 days, and stuff like that will, sometimes bring the best and the worst out. Some of our young guys definitely were swimming for a while, but once, we limited our install for each day and kind of got down to our basic, play calling and stuff, that they definitely rose up to the challenge. But practice is one thing, Thursday night, that will be a different thing under the lights to see how they perform.
And we'll wrap things up here with Coach O'Day. Just you real quick from the beginning of practice to the end here before you get ready for your first game. And what are some of the things that you've seen out of that offensive unit that you feel are starting to get a little bit better here as you progress towards the start of the season?
I think the chemistry between our quarterback and our receivers has really come together. They've been working together great. The routes are starting to come together very nicely. And to be honest, I think our offensive line has done a great job of coming together. I mean, we have some real leaders on that offensive line, and I think they do a great job. The old guys have done an amazing job teaching the young guys the playbook and helping bringing them along and making sure that they're not falling behind. And really, it's just been impressive to see the leadership that we have on our offensive side of the ball and how the old guys are mentoring the young guys and making sure as a unit we're all progressing towards our goal at the end.
You bring up chemistry between the quarterbacks and wide receivers, also important, obviously, on the offensive line. But as a coach, do you try and build that with any of the drills that you guys run? Or is that something you just sort of hope comes as these guys keep working together on a day-to-day basis?
It's something that you have to drill, you have to work on. We try to get the quarterbacks thrown to our receivers as much as we can because, every receiver is a little bit different. They run a route just a little bit differently. Each quarterback throws the ball just a little bit differently. So it's really it's repetition and getting the quarterbacks used to throwing the routes, the receivers used to running the routes, and really just working towards getting the feel for each guy that they're throwing to. Each player's got a different skill set, and once they get used to how they run routes and how they catch the ball, it's nice to see it come together in the end.
Thanks, Coach O'Day. We're broadcasting live tonight from Trestles Bar and Grill. We've reached the midpoint of the show, so we'll send it back to the studio. Dana Dravecchia will update us on what's going on as far as in the Dakota Country area, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about this big game coming up. I know it's game number 1 of the season, but this one's huge as far as rivalries go. It's University of Jamestown, Valley City State University under the lights on Thursday night, 7 p.m. You'll be able to hear that live on 1490 KOVC, and we'll talk about it. It's coming up next on the Coach McCulloch Show, live from Trestles on 1490 KOVC.
Trestles in the Valley City Town and Country Club is the place to be on Mondays. Every Monday night is Wings and Tap Beer Night. Enjoy tasty wings in 7 flavors, along with $2.50 domestic draws and $3.50 premium draws. And every Monday is Member Appreciation Night. Country Club members can take 10% off. Tuesday is Homemade Pizza Night. Friday is All-You-Can-Eat Buffet from 11:30 to 1:30 and Prime Rib Night. Trestles in the Valley City Town and Country Club, with daily specials served every day and plenty of good golf left.
Covering all of southeast and south central North Dakota, this is Dakota Country News with Steve Yurnes.
A Fargo man accused of setting fire to a Valley City church in an attempt to cover up the break-in and burglary of Faith Lutheran pleaded guilty in a change of plea hearing today. The trial for Andrew McCulloch was called off last week after the plea agreement was reached. Defense attorney Steve Moniger told the court he is working to get other charges his client faces in Nelson and Griggs County cleared up before the sentence hearing in Barnes County. Judge James Hovey told McCulloch that he could be sentenced as a habitual offender, meaning the Class B felony could be increased from 10 to 20 years, and the 2 Class C felony counts would increase from 5 to 10 years in prison. Meanwhile, Nicole Linderman, his co-conspirator, pleaded guilty to a felony charge of conspiracy to commit arson and burglary for her involvement as an accomplice in the burning and burglarizing of the church. Linderman faces a sentence of 10 years on the felony conspiracy to commit arson charge and 5 years on the felony burglary charge. Several members from Faith Lutheran Church were at the hearing, including Pastor Jolene Knutson-Hans.
People have been waiting for this to help provide some closure. Much sadness still remains for our congregation. I know that many people have been praying for Andrew and Nicole to realize the hurt that they have caused and hopefully to find healing in their own lives.
McCulloch remains in custody in the Barnes County Jail. Linderman is free on her own recognizance, according to her own bail agreement. Sentencing for the two will be done in 90 days. Heavy rain moved through the area over the weekend, left its mark in western Dickey County. Emergency manager there, Charlie Russell, says that about 5 inches of rain fell near Forbes and about 4 inches of rain near Ellendale. He says anyone traveling in the western portion of Dickey County needs to be aware of cut roads, gravel washes, moving and standing water. Please report any of these damages to your township board or the emergency manager's office at 320-2699. Cardiovascular disease remains the #1 killer in the state and the nation, but the latest study shows that progress is being made, and much of the efforts credited reflect the ongoing initiatives in North Dakota. Shelley Arnold with Sanford Health says that one key in improving outcomes locally has been the establishment of statewide systems of stroke and cardiac care.
It goes all the way from the very beginning of when a patient has any types of signs and symptoms, getting those patients to the right hospital, the hospital that can provide the best level of care, as well as working with both the small and the larger hospitals in the state of North Dakota on having standardized protocols.
That's a look at our news. I'm Steve Yurnes reporting. For more, log on to our website at newsdakota.com and follow newsdakota.com on Twitter. Use your Twitter account to keep up to date with news and sports.
McCulloch with us, and Jake Bresky, the co-offensive coordinator, along with John O'Day. We've been talking about a little bit about last season, the new North Star Athletic Association. Now it's time to turn our attention to the future. Coming up on Thursday night, big game. University of Jamestown comes to Valley City State University. This has been a series that recently the away team has had the upper hand somehow. But, Coach, let me start by asking you this. I know from a fan standpoint, from my standpoint as a broadcaster, I love opening the season with this game. I think that just makes it fantastic. It gets the blood pumping right away for the fans. From a coach's standpoint, is this a game you'd rather see like in the middle of the season, or are you happy to have it? Hey, let's get out there, let's get the job done right away.
There's some good and bad with both ways you can look at it. The good thing is it does attract some attention to us, and the game's always been a great competitive game. Going to bring a lot of fans out. I think that's great for our kids to start the season that way. I think our focus maybe during the off season and fall camp when you open up with your rival helps a little bit. It's easier to maintain that focus and why we're doing all this stuff and what we're doing, all those things. I think those are positive things. We want to be at our best when you play. In big games like this, there's no question. And sometimes when you're the openers, it's harder maybe to say, hey, we're at our best today. But I think that's just a challenge about it. Just being able to play at the high level and the things that you'd want to be at to when you play a rival game. But I wouldn't. Change it. It was the only way we could work it out to make sure that we're doing it. I think it's, some people ask about playing twice. I mean, for both programs, it's good for for Gate. It's good to have people come. They're interested in the game. It's always been a very competitive game, and that's what we expect again. So, people are going to, I think when you come out Thursday night, people are going to, it's going to be a big crowd. I mean, it's going to be a great crowd supported by both Jamestown and Viking fans, and it's going to be awesome small college atmosphere, and you can't. That's a great way to sell to our athletes and the people around us that about their program. That's why kids want to come. Come to school and play football. You want that kind of atmosphere. So it'll be fun. It'll be exciting for us.
113th meeting between the two teams. Obviously, rich traditions, the longest-running rivalry in the state of North Dakota, with UND and NDSU doing their thing where they don't want to play against each other. But talk a little bit about that. Is that something you instill in the tradition of being a Viking? Is that something that's big?
No question about it. And the longer I'm here, the more our kids. I mean, our freshmen probably don't get it right away. They don't probably truly understand it. And I think our upperclassmen are guys that start to talk about it, start to talk about that game, what it means to them, and those types of things. And something that why you're here in our program, people understand it. When if you're relating to any of our alumni, that's the game that they care about. There's no question, and they're excited about. They want to be involved with. So I think our kids understand the tradition and where it's at, and they understand the importance of the game and of the paint bucket, and that it's something that we want to do everything we can to represent Viking football at a high level, and that's, to me, that's a great thing for us, and it's a great thing about the game.
Coach Bresky, Coach O'Day, I mean, on the coaching side of things, you've obviously been a part of big rivalries in the past. Some of you this one, but is this, from the coaching standpoint of things, with a rivalry like this, what's it like there on the coach's side now?
It's pretty fun, is the word I would say. It gets intense, but in the end, it's our first game. It's just another game. For us coaches, win or lose, we're still going to come in on Friday and watch film and start prepping for the next week. So you try not to make it bigger than it is, because then it can put added pressure on your players and coaching staff as well. So it's just, for us, it's our first game. We finally get to see our guys on the lights, but in the end, that's our only game right now, and then after that, we'll look towards the next game, one game at a time.
How do you use it to your advantage, or do you in practice? Do you try and maintain that it's one game, or is this, I mean, there's a clock in the locker room, is there not, that counts this one down? It's kind of hard, isn't it, to just say, hey, it's one game when you're counting this one down?
Yes, we do have a countdown clock, but with that, we can change it every week to whoever we play. But it helps, it definitely drives some of our older guys to turn up a notch in practice when it's needed. And, there's definitely a little sense of urgency because it is Jimmy week, but yet, it's a long season.
And Coach O'Dale, kind of throw the same question to you. Now you're on the coaching side of this rivalry. What's it been like for you from that side?
For me, every year it's a lot of fun. I have every week might as well be a rivalry week because I love game day. It doesn't matter who's across from us. I love playing the game. I love being out there, watching our guys do work towards a common goal. Jimmy week, it's a rivalry. Especially for the young guys, this will be their first taste of it, and our older guys, it really does mean something. It always does. But like Coach Bresky said here, it's a long season. This is game one of a long season, and we're focused on game one. We're gonna play game one, then we're gonna work to the next opponent.
Very nice. Thanks, Coach. We'll bring it back up to Coach McCulloch, and we'll talk a little bit about the rivalry that is this game between University of Jamestown, Valley City State University, all the things you hear about it. Throw out the records. It's going to be the hardest hitting you see. Is there truth to that, or is that just people talking?
I really believe it. Like I said, this is my 21st year of being around it. When I went to Northern State, we didn't really have a rival. Mm-hmm. We'd call somebody, hey, this is going to be a big game, but, you didn't really have that sense, and I think there's just a difference in the crowd, and during that one game, you do, from both sides that there's some animosity against each other. That's a good thing. You know what? I've been I've been there when we were. My very first year as a head football coach, we just come off of winning, a conference championship, go to national playoffs, and it's the last game of the year. It's a close game. It's like 0-0 at halftime, and they come back out and score 20 points, so it's like 20 to nothing late in the fourth quarter. Because it's really cold, the wind was blowing across. All the Jamestown guys come and sit on our sideline because our crowd had kind of disparted. And they start chanting the normal, not very nice things about Valley City State, and somebody after the game go, I can't believe they did that. And you know what? I said, I would rather hear those things. I'd rather hear that than hearing birds chirping and nobody caring and nobody saying anything, right? Where you go out there and the fans don't care, nobody's into the game. There's no attitude. There's no atmosphere. And that's the great thing about this game. It is just another game, right? It is just a first game of our season, but the atmosphere and the people who care about it, who want to be a part of it, that's the unique part of college football. And there are some places you go never have this. They don't have that kind of intensity in a game, and that's the unique thing that our kids will experience, win or lose. Will experience that great game atmosphere, and that's unique and that's different than a lot of places that don't have these kind of games. So I think that's the fun thing about it, and the part that there is an different energy level. We hope we can repeat it every week. That's the key. Our kids understand that what it takes to play and do those things. But I've just seen both teams play a better, maybe a more focused game. No matter what we've done in the past, when you get to that game, the kids just seem to be more, there is a different focus and preparation for the game.
When you bring up guys maybe standing on your sideline chanting some things, as you mentioned, not so nice things from the University of Jamestown about Valley City State University, have you noticed in your past as a coach the players responding to that in a positive way? Does it go in a negative way? I mean, obviously they're going to respond in some way, shape, or form.
What we hope is we have no response from what's being said from the crowd. That they're going to say they're fans, and they're going to say what they want to say. I mean, that's part of bought your ticket and come to the game, and you have some of that right, as long as it doesn't go overboard and into the sense of getting into disrupting what's going on the field. So hopefully our kids don't recognize any of those things that are happening off and what things are happening and chants that are being done, because it happens on both sides. There's no to say our fans are different than their fans and those types of things. The key to me is you have to have them there. The people have to show up. It doesn't create an atmosphere unless you have people there that care and want to be a part of that type of atmosphere. And so, to me, that's the positive about it. What we hope our kids do is ultimately, not focus on crowd and noise and what's being said outside of what our job is and what we need to do. And part of when people drive by our stadium every day and you hear the music being piped in and they're going, what the heck's going on out there, Mac? Part of that is you just eliminate distractions. You ignore it, and that's what we have to be able to do on Thursday night.
I was just about to ask you, how do you try to eliminate those distractions? So you guys have been pumping some music to try and get that going.
We've done it for a couple of years now, and I think it's a good thing. It makes it every day in practice. Sometimes it's frustrating for coaches because we're trying to communicate and do things, but that's a part of every game day. There's distractions that are going to go on, and you have to focus and ignore what the surrounding and the noise and whatever it may be. That's a part of that. So.
Who decides what the music is? I'm just curious. No Captain and Tennille on that one?
To be honest with you, I'm not really. I've given that to somebody else, and it's probably a mixture from Coach Horner to Coach O'Day to Coach Piccolo, and again, I think the part of it about the music is it doesn't really matter what's playing. Mm-hmm. I know our kids say, we wish it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter what's playing. I think we had mariachi. One coach Coach O'Day had a Spanish request, so we played Spanish music the entire practice. Nice. So and part of that is it truly doesn't matter what it is, what's playing. It's about eliminating some of those things and those distractions that are going to be a part of every game that we go to. So
we'll throw it to these guys now. Coach Bresky, we'll start with you because you're closest to Coach McCulloch. That's the way we go down the line here. Coach, this is a non-conference game. It's the first game of the season, obviously. Is there anything that, as a coaching staff, I guess I can throw this out to all of you for that matter, that you hold back against the University of Jamestown, seeing as you're going to play these guys again at the end of the season? And last year, the conference honestly sort of ran on that one and ended up being a tie because of it.
I don't think we'll hold anything back this first game. We need to win this game. Like Coach Mack touched on, obviously our end goal at the end would be to make playoffs, to win our conference. In order to do that, you can't lose any games. We'll take this one game at a time. We're putting everything out there that's going to help us win this one game.
We'll continue on from there. And what do you expect to see from the Jimmies here?
I expect to see a lot of the same thing. They do have a new defense coordinator, but his background is with the 3-4 defense as well. So, we think there's going to be a lot of similarities what they've ran, but yet, we expect to see a few wrinkles.
Throw it to Coach O'Day, and we sort of touched on this a little bit earlier about you guys wanting to treat it like it's any other game, obviously, with the University of Jamestown. The clock's ticking down, but is there anything you guys do different to prepare for this game coming up, seeing as the paint bucket's on the line here?
I think there is some, there's always added pressure because, everybody looks at it as a rivalry game, but as far as the coaching staff, we approach it just like any other game. We're going to watch the film. We're going to decide what the best plan of attack is, and we're going to go from there. We're going to install things the same way because, I think it's important for our guys that they have a routine and they understand that this is just another game. We're going to come at it. We're going to have a solid plan to go forward, and we're going to come with the best things that we got.
And the rivalry trophy, obviously the paint bucket will be handed to somebody at the end of this game. It's got to be big for the players. It's got to be big for the fans. As a coach, where does that stand on your list? Is that something you want in the trophy case displayed?
I mean, it's one thing to win a game, but yes, it's a rivalry game, and it's a trophy that we would like to see back in our trophy case. I mean, I think going at it any other way is the wrong way to do it. We want to win the game, and that's what we want to do.
Nice. We'll bring it back over here to Coach McCulloch here for this question. I might get two different answers depending on who I ask it to, seeing as I got the offensive guys and the defensive guy here. But last year, these were the scores of the game, 31-14. You guys win. I won't call it a blowout. I think it was a close game there. Second half, you started to run away with it. But 16-13 was the loss. Close game, sort of a defensive stand. What favors Valley City in this game against the University of Jamestown? Do you want that defensive stand, or I'll sort of compare to Morningside last year where it was trading points almost the entire game?
Yeah, I'm never really in favor of the high scoring, trading points, shootout type of atmosphere. But in the end, we score one more point than Jamestown, I'm gonna be happy. And that's really the goal for both sides. We're defensively we have to hold them down as many points as we can, and that's the less points they have, the better chance we have. And that's the reality of any football game. But if we allow 30 points, we better score 31, and that's the challenge to our offense. And again, I always lean to, if I had to pick a game, I would pick a low scoring game, but that's as long as we're coming out ahead, and that's what really matters. The one thing I think Coach O'Day touched on, and the idea that Jamestown's more important than any other game we play, and I know a lot of our alumni will joke, well, if you just win those, if you beat them twice, hey, that's all you got to do. That's good, but we don't. If my coaches were spending extra hours in the week just for the Jamestown week, and then we just took time off, I think our players and our coaches, we're doing something wrong, right? We're devaluing everything else we do. So our preparation week isn't any different. Our expectations and how hard we work and the things we want from our kids and the amount of time that our coaches spend in preparation is going to be the same every week. And I think that's the way we have to be. That's the consistency that we want. The fun part about playing Jamestown is just the to me, the type of atmosphere we're going to get into, and we know the intensity, what it's going to be like, and that's a great thing to have kids experience at a college level, and that's the fun thing about the game. So we're definitely looking forward to it.
This sounds sort of like a silly question here, Coach, but I've been in locker rooms where a team won a game, and it sounds from the coach's standpoint as though they might have lost. What are you looking for to call this game a success here against the University of Jamestown after your first 2 weeks and the very first game of the season?
Yeah, to me, if I could tell you that, hey, we could play well and we lose, I'd be happy with it. That's not going to be true. I mean, we want to win, and just like Jamestown wants to win, and that's going to be the focus for us. And now we all want to see our kids play the way we think they can play, and the level that we think they can play at. To go out and play sloppy and not play a complete game and still win, it's going to be, we're going to be excited at the end, but you're going to be a little concerned about what we're going to be like for the future. So, there are some things that we definitely want to see and can see our kids being able to do. But that's the challenge. For ultimately is finding a way to get the win. So.
We'll kind of throw that same question over here to Coach Bresky. If you've been working with these guys here in the early goings of the season, what are you looking for out of your offense here against the University of Jamestown in game one?
First thing is just what guys are going to step up. As you said earlier, we got a lot of yards to make up. It's not going to be one guy. It's going to be spread the ball around, get in our playmakers' hands, and hopefully they can do something with it.
Coach O'Day, I'll sort of pose that same question exactly to you as well with the guys that you've been working with. What do you want to see out of these guys when the first ball snapped against Jamestown on Thursday night?
What I'm looking for, I'm looking for guys that are going to give every ounce of effort on the field. I'm looking for guys that know what they're doing. And I want guys that are going to be excited about playing football. I mean, because when all is said and done, it's still a game. It's a lot of fun, and you might as well have fun while you're doing it. So I want guys that are excited out there on the field.
Very cool. Coach O'Day, Coach Bresky, and, of course, Coach Dennis McCulloch. That wraps up the first episode of this season's Coach McCulloch Show. Real quick, we'll let you know we won't be doing this next week because of the Labor Day holiday. But we will come back and we will have it one more time. Yes, Coach. Before I want to just invite everybody out. There is tailgating at 5 o'clock. I think at 4:30, 5 o'clock out at the stadium. And there's also a family fun zone that they're starting this year. So if you guys want to come out early to the game and enjoy that atmosphere that we're trying to develop on the field, out in the stadium, we'd love to have you out there early. And I know the Booster Club will be out there and serving some food and that type of thing. So I encourage people to come out and be a part of that atmosphere, which we're trying to create in our stadium. So and of course tomorrow is the fall kickoff picnic as well, where you can hear not just about football but about new head coach Adam Longmore, the volleyball team, and find out what the cross country team's doing as well. That's at Chautauqua Park at Dakota Pavilion.
Yep, exactly
6 p.m., right?
6 p.m.
All right, I'm surprised I remembered all that. So show up, get the Vikings going this year. as we head into the season. As you mentioned, tailgating going on 4 p.m. outside of Shelley Ellig Field. Should be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to that. And then, of course, we will take next week off due to Labor Day. We won't be at Tressel's Bar and Grill. And then the next week we'll come back, and every week after that we will go from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. right here on 1490 KOVC. You can hear the Coach McCulloch Show. Guys, thank you very much for being here tonight, and we're looking forward to the future of the season and what we have going on with us on Thursday night at Shelley Ellig Field. 7 p.m. kickoff on that one. Pregame starts at 6:30 p.m. on 1490 KOVC for the Vikings broadcast. And Jimmy's broadcast is on 1400 if for some reason you changed the channel or are driving through Jamestown. So anyway, we'll have that for you, and we will see you next time on the Coach McCulloch Show, broadcasting live from Tressel's Bar and Grill every Monday night, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m.
You have been listening to the Dennis McCulloch Show live from Tressel's inside the Valley City Town and Country Club. The Dennis McCulloch Show has been brought to you exclusively by Tressel's. The Dennis McCulloch Show has been a presentation of NewsDakota.com and Dakota Country AM 1490 KOVC.